Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's the other guy back here again with another one. Your woman isn't having sex with you. Should you stay or should you go? See, I watched a video the other day talking about how men's sexual impulse, right, and men wanting to lay with so much women has a lot to do with them being homosexual, right? Cheating men especially. And I wanted to talk about this because just because a man cheat, you feel me? Let's just say you cheat. They already know my opinion on cheating. I believe cheating is when you say you're doing one thing, right? When you say you're being honest, when you say you're being faithful and then you're not. Basically, your words do not match up with your actions. That's cheating. When you take a test, right? You promise, right, that you wasn't going to look at anybody's answers. It was going to be your answers. You signed that waiver before you took that test. You feel me? When you go against the waiver, you go against the contract, right, you have then cheated. With that being said, let me go ahead and get started. Guys, if you are in a relationship now and you aren't having sex with your woman, you're going to be in a shitty situation. When you are in a shitty situation, and keep in mind, this is not for you to go out there, right, to go ahead and cheat. I'm not giving you permission to. But when you are in a shitty situation, no matter what you do, whether it's the right thing or the wrong thing, the world will view it as shitty. So, you could be a faithful guy in a shitty situation. Well, guess what? You're still going to be in a shitty circumstance. Or you could be a guy that steps out. You're still going to be in a shitty circumstance. But at the end of the day, I'm going to choose me, right? It's rough as it sounds, that's just the reality that I live in. It's because I see so much men being castrated, right, when they get into long-term marriages, situations, right? And I want to talk about you finding your identity, right? And you maintaining your identity through these situations. Your woman stops sleeping with you over time because there's no urgency. That's the only way I know how to put it. There's no urgency. And in regards to what excuse that she might give you, and it might very well be valid ones, I am not dismissing that. If the woman does not feel good, if she's sick, if your wife does not feel good, if she's over here puking up, of course, bro, you better wait. You feel me? Like, I'm not on that type of time. But if she's in her head, if she, you know what I'm saying, there's a lot going on in her head, understand that there's nothing physical you can do to get her out of that headspace. And that right there, I'm telling you that information, should be a relief. Because no amount of chores, no amount of good deeds, no amount of romance, no amount of dates could get her out of that situation. So it doesn't matter what you do, she has to find a way to get herself out of that headspace so she could meet you halfway. So she could be in attendance in the relationship. There's a lot of given circumstances where we will live for the future when we're in a long-term relationship. We hit financial stress, financial worry, right? Maybe we struggle with the kids, right? And what's going to happen? We got a deadline here or something bad happened. We're either living in the past or living in the future. But guess what? If you living in the past and you living in the future, you're not going to know what time it is. Now, currently. So when a woman goes by and she says she has a lot of going on in her head, so she can't do that, right? The main thing I want you to do is I don't want you to get pout. I don't want you to pout. I don't want you to get mad, because what you're going to do is create an environment where she no longer could tell you no. You will love the fact that your woman could tell you no. Trust me, it's because she still feels like she could communicate with you. Once you lose that no, because you got mad when she said no, she's going to start being avoidant. This is when she start going to bed early because she says she don't feel well, right? or she start coming in later just because she don't want to deal with you. That's the last thing you don't want. But that's advice to you, man. Now I'm going to toggle over to the other side. Women have a tendency to put sex behind either a paywall or a troll wall, and it makes it transactional. Get what I'm saying? And when you make that transactional, you know, when when a woman says she hates when guys give her stuff or try to offer her things and she rejects the items, you know why she says she rejects them? Because she thinks and she fears that he might expect something in return. Women don't realize that they create that dynamic in that relationship when they put sex behind the chore wall, saying take the trash out, have the house clean, this and that, right? When that man follows you like a butler, right, does all the things you said, right, because that behavior has been taught, you can't get mad that he expects something in return. You've created that dynamic, right? But guess what now? He expects something in return. Now he's doing it because he wants sex. You feel me? When in reality, yeah, that was the dynamic that was created. You made sex transactional. And now when you don't offer it up, you're getting mad saying that, oh, he's pissed off. He has a right to be pissed off. You see how things went left? See, the fear that a woman should have in these long-term situations is when your man stop asking you. What I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be brutally honest, right? Y'all not going to like what I want to hear at the end of the day. Guys, you have been cooked. Here's why. Your woman, even despite the fact that she has a lot going on, right, in her head, your woman gives 8 hours to her job 5 days a week. She still shows up. She still shows up for her job. She still shows up for her boss. What does this mean? Well, obviously she has to make income. What do you mean? She still shows up with all the distress that she has, living in the future, living in the past, all those things, right? She still shows up to her workplace to keep her job. But she cannot give you 20 minutes a day. You know why? Because there's a sense of urgency to keep her job. She knows she can't call in and tell her boss, you feel me, I don't feel like it today because I'm not in the right headspace. You're fired. You can't tell your landlord, the bank, whether you own a house, apartment, you can't tell them, I'm not going to pay you this month because I'm not in the right headspace. They're going to tell you got until the 10th. See, with a house, that works a little differently, right? You're going to be behind on mortgage, but eventually they're going to get your ass out of there. You see the point I'm saying? There's a sense of urgency when the drug lord comes and he wants his money. There's a sense of urgency he has to put behind that. That's why he threatens to take all your fingers. Right? I don't want to get there. You feel me? Obviously, that's more violent or whatever the case is. I'm not telling y'all to, inciting violence on anybody. But there's a sense of urgency behind it. Why? Because he's serious or she's serious about getting that money back. I want you to pay me back or else. Guys, the real reason why she stopped laying with you, even though she might have reasonable causes, some days, right? I'm going to give her that. But if it's been 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and she's lost track of time, and you're the guy paying bills, guess what? Paying bills requires you to keep track of time. So you're counting the days that she's not laying with you. You're counting the days that she's not pouring into the relationship. The real reason is because there's no sense of urgency. You have in no way shown her, displayed to her that you would leave in any given moment. Guys, you are your own human being. You have requirements. Y'all are two people at the end of the day that decided to come together under an agreement. When she does not show up for you, what she led off with what she led off with, it is a void of contract. A lot of people say, yo, you don't understand, you don't have kids, you don't this and that. As you progress through the relationship with what you want, your hardware should become more developed. You should buy better hardware. I said this, I was like, for some reason, before having a kid, I was saying, oh, I didn't want kids or whatever the case, or I might not want kids, or I don't know if I want kids. You know why? Because I was running on 1 terabyte. I was running on 1 terabyte and I had 945 gigs. I didn't feel like I had space for a kid. When I realized that I had a kid on the way, it was like God handed me an extra 4 terabytes. My hardware changed. My hardware changed. My interest changed. And I had space for so much more things. You with a woman that's running on the same hardware for when she was single and just dating, and she running using that same hardware through marriage and having babies, having kids. That's why she don't have space for you. That's not your problem. I just absolved you, thinking that if you're the problem, I've just absolved you. That's her problem. That's something that she has to deal with. She has to show up for you. Because I know that there might be good reasons why she can't show up from time to time. You know, every once in a while. I know there must be good reasons. Yes. But to go months without her pouring into the relationship, there's absolutely no excuse, because she'll show up for everybody and everything else except for you. You're in the back burner because there's no sense of urgency. She doesn't believe that you'll fire her. He won't. He gonna stay. That's what she has in her mind. Develop that sense of urgency. I'm not telling you to go out there and say, you know what, this is Becky. Feel me? Becky want to lay with me. See, feel me? Now you want to keep me? No, I'm not saying that. You make have that one steep talk. You give her the blueprint. She don't want to follow the blueprint. Then you go do you. Shitty circumstances, right, require shitty decisions. You hear me when I say that? It's going to require shitty decisions. Meaning, when you're in a shitty circumstance, either way, an outside party going to look at it and be like, this is terrible. This is bad. On both ends, no matter what it is. You got to make the better shitty decision. The shitty decision that's going to project you into a better situation. Either way, like, comment, subscribe. Be easy.